Okay, welcome back to another episode. This week we're working on the Fairlane. As you can see, it's on jack stands. Catch you after the intro, we'll have a bit of a yarn about it. We're going to put some Daihatsu back in the Daihatsu. So about a month or so ago, the auto box went out on this. As you can tell from the last video. So, draining it. It is currently 8:30 in the morning, the 24th of December. I want to get the box out of this, rebuild back in it, and then drive it to Sydney for Christmas Day. So, wish me luck. I guess if this works, this will be a video. If it doesn't, maybe it'll just be like a post-credit scene or something. Me being a fucking idiot. But we'll see how we go. I've got the auto trans draining now. Probably won't show too much of getting it out of the car. I need to rip tear bus and get it out. We'll show more on the actual auto trans rebuild. We've got a full kit with a full manualised valve plate, new torque converter, everything. So yeah, I'm going to rifle into this and get this box out as quick as I possibly can, and we'll catch you in the shed pulling a C4 apart and working out what failed on it. I have a feeling it's probably the torque converter. Alright, as you can see, I'm progressing along. Box is about ready to come out. Good thing with the C4s is there's a drain bung in the torque converter. This is what come out of the torque converter. I don't know if you can see that. Full of shinies. So she's cooked. I got like 3 bolts to get the box out. I'm not going to get it done to take it to Sydney. I've found some other issues which are going to take precedent. So the rear main seal's leaking on the engine, and it's a rope seal, so that's engine out, sump off. Might as well do it now. I hate oil leaks, and it's been progressively getting worse. So while the box is out, pull the motor out, and we'll just sort that out. So that's it. We'll get the box out, and I don't know, maybe I'll see how motivated I am. Fairly disheartened at the moment, so if I'm still motivated, we'll be building it. If not, this video will continue in a fistful of days later. We'll see. Okay, that's the C4 out. Looks like it has been played with. This bell housing's been painted once upon a time. The big issue is the torque converter. Can you see down there? Not really. Anyway, you might be able to hear it. That thing's cooked. I was probably lucky to get it back into town, really, because that thing is fucking fried. She's a throwaway. It's also burred up. There's your pump shaft. The pump shaft's fine. Come here, get that out of there. But it's burred. The snout up here has been dragging, so I'll have to do a bit of research on that, but I should just be able to just clean that up with a file and it'll be okay. So, torque converter in the bin. That needs to go into the backyard and get hit with a bit of chem tools degreaser and a fucking good gurney off, because it's going to need it. And then I've got to clean all the tools up here. Motor's got to come out of the Fairlane. Just more work. Just dealing with previous owners' neglect and misuse. So what do you do? Just got to fix it. Got two ways of doing it with what I need to do with the Fairlane at the moment. I'll talk about that later. It might be a video, it might not, I don't know yet. It's not good is what I'm saying. Not good. But the gearbox does need a build, and it does need a new torque converter. So we'll handle that at the moment. Won't put it back in. We'll have it boxed up ready to go on the shelf. Pull the motor out, and we'll look at doing everything else. Yeah, righto. We'll get this fucking gearbox on the bench. Alright, gearbox cleaned up, come up okay, there's still a little bit of grime on it, but that's alright. So to the shed, I've got it mounted on the bench, bell housing off, and I open up the front door to let a bit of air through. She's hot as a son bitch in there, and I don't know if many of you people have actually seen how aggressive the front of leftovers is. So here he is there, look at that. And cut 100mm out of each side and pinch the nose in. Those diffs are going away, they're going to a mate's build, front and rear. But, yeah. There's the Hummer portals laying on the ground. I've got to build axles for them. Got a Dana 300 sitting under there as well. I've got a mock-up block VG30 sitting there, so that'll get there. I'm probably going to change the front end and do away with the apron altogether and the guards, and probably just run the grill and the bonnet. I've got a mate that's got a Blizzard that does that, and all he's done is basically cut what was left of the guard off and pinch it in about that much, because you're doing it to comply with tough truck ruling, you're doing a bit of a guard there. So I'll probably look at doing that so I don't keep ripping the front end off with like 42-inch tyres. But I was walking around the shed, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I've actually showed off leftovers from the front. Probably only ever seen it as like a coat rack, or I don't know, whatever else I've been leaning up against it at the time. Anyway, let's get into the shed. I'll show you this box. I got me manual, so I can assemble and disassemble it right, and we'll see how we go. Well, it was mounted in that. I went in to get a drink, come out, and it was on the floor. So let's try this again. For fuck's sake. Alright, remounted in the bench using safety wing nuts, that's fine, and studs this time, it's all I could find. Assessing the damage like that, busted a chunk out of the top of the box there, but it's in the open air. It's actually squashed off one of them holes and put a couple of stress cracks in it. So I'll have to re-tap that hole, file it flat because it's now risen, to fix my fuck up. But that's alright. Hasn't done too much other damage, just that. And that's 1 out of 5 bell housing bolts, so not too worried. So we'll set up a tripod, start busting this gearbox apart. Got to pull tail housing off and the valve body out, pump out. You'll see as we're going. Okay, this should just come off now. Listen to that glug glug. Alright, so this one here, that's your reverse drive low, and then that's your passing gear, your kick down TV cable, I guess it is, in Turbo 700s. This is just passing in C4s. Look at the metal in that. That's a mess. And then look at all this crap seeping out of it. So that's all fun. Oh, I've got to split this to put my shift kit in it. That'll come in a minute. I'll get the rest of this thing disassembled. Jesus Christ. I did wash the absolute fuck out of this, so it does have a lot of water in it as well. Of course, it's going to get stripped anyway, so I wasn't too fussed with it. Right. You can sort of see here, there's your second and third band there. Servo pushes from this side to bite it, and then you've got an adjuster on this side. I don't know if you can actually see, I might pop you out of the vise there and show you around in here. So you can see what's going on. Alright, second and third band there, reverse and first band there. And then you've got clutch pack in here, clutch pack in that drum there. There's your rooster cone that gives you the click, click, click when you're adjusting it, and that's a little rod for your kick down passing. This rod goes through, that's the park sprawl. Yeah. You can sort of want to try and turn it. This thing's a bit of a mess. All the clutches are worn out in it. Those drums should try to turn, but they're not. So next step is tail housing off. All those bolts around there. Pop it off. There's a little governor in there. We'll pull it off too. We'll keep at her. I'm gonna have to take this thing back outside when it's stripped and wash it again. It's just full of metal. Okay, tail housing off. There's your low speed governor there. Output shaft will only turn one way at the moment because there's a one-way spray clutch in there for reverse, and because I've undone the tension on the reverse band, it's only going to want to go in reverse. But underneath this housing, you've got your park gear, and then this here with the little roller in it, that's your park dog. So when I jam it into park, see, it sort of wants to engage. Twist that. There we go. There's park there. Good to know. So, low speed governor off, that back pump housing off, and we'll keep pulling the rest of this thing apart. It's pretty grubby. Alright, next step, pull the pump out. So, I've already got it cracked. This will come with the pump and the second and third gear planetary. Ooh-wee. I can see that there. There's a thrust washer. It's cooked. All of the band, like the clutch packs in there are all loose, so they're cooked too. Those seals don't look too good in there either. So this thing is, and the fact that the bands have got Ford stamped on them, I'm beginning to lean towards the fact that this thing's never been apart. So it's got, in theory, 230,000 kilometres on it, with maybe general maintenance. No wonder it failed. And I just get stuck picking up the mess. Right, there's the band. Let's have a look at that. Rag. Yeah. So that's scorched. See how it's crazy and cracking apart. And twist it. It's cork. So she is cooked. Look at the colour on it too. It's supposed to be dark grey. It's brown. She's been hot. She's been hot. I never felt it slip, so maybe it was slipping while they were towing a huge caravan, I suppose. Let's go to the next page here. What do we got? Alright, we'll disassemble the pump, see what we can find in there. I'm guessing nothing good. Alright, that is the pump apart. That's the snub that goes through, and the main drive for the torque converter is right there. So, these two flats is where the torque converter drives on to drive the pump. And it spins it around, and that's what pumps your oil, much like an engine oil pump. Now, you can see there's score marks there. When I pulled it apart, there's supposed to be a thrust bearing on the back of that, and there isn't one. So, it's either disintegrated while it was driving, highly likely, there's a lot of metal in it, or it has been apart and put together incorrectly. So that's good. Also note, there's quite a bit of wear on those gears too. They're supposed to be a wee bit tighter than that in that housing. What do we got? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it has been apart and they just, whoever put it together just didn't know what they were doing. I'll box that up for now. I've got a new pump, new seal. There's a bush in there as well. So I just wanted to pull that apart to inspect it. We'll keep moving along to pulling the output shaft out, reverse, basket, spray clutch, all the fun stuff. Alright, we've got the main output shaft out. That's done. There's our clutch packs, drums, and there's the little gear for the park. There's another thrust washer in there that is high spotted, so that's good. And then all the way down the bottom there, it's a one-way bearing or a sprag, so it will only turn literally one way. See, it's only turning clockwise. The other way, it locks up. That's what makes reverse reverse. Now they're really common to break. They're called a wave spring, I think, from memory. Really common to break the wave spring. I bought a new sprag for this anyway. So I'll pop all that out. This is now pretty much a bare case. That's it. Apart from the rod for park, which can stay in there. That's it, she's empty, she's all over the bench now. So now comes the real fun part. So there's a bearing in there that I've got to get. There's another thrust washer in there that's also blue. But see all those clutch packs in there? Got to change all them. They're all fucked. They were working, but it's this far apart. Just got to change them. So this thing needs another date with the degreaser, I think, and get all this sludge out of it. I'm going to do a wee bit more research on that piston. So I'll probably head inside now, have a shower, get this oil off me, sit down and have a ponder. But at least it's apart. Christmas Day tomorrow. I've got a 3-hour drive to make. So I don't want to be in the shed all day fucking around with this, seeing as it's not going back in the car anyway. If it was, I'd probably put the effort in. So I'm going to shut it down there. We'll hit you guys in a little bit. It's probably going to be a few days. Alright. So I put the C4 build on hold for a minute. As I said before, there was some damage in the chassis. You can see I've had a haircut now. Finally got a free minute to do that. That's great. So Fairlane chassis repaired. Gearbox is ready to build. I haven't had time. And while the engine was out, I went to put a rear main seal in it. And I found some damaged bearings in the engine. So it's not terminal. It's fixable. I just got to throw bearings up. So that's okay. But I won't have any time these next couple of months to even get to it. But what we're doing right now is I'm racing out to my mate's place in Gilgandra. It's the state title for Fender Benders, held over from last year because of COVID. I'm his pit crew. I'll be pit crewing for probably 3 or 4 cars. He's got 2 cars in the race, he's racing 1. Yeah, Walton Welding and Contracted. So if you need any welding or general maintenance work, you're in and around the Dubbo area, hit Ben up, him and his missus, good people. So I'll go out there while he's racing. I'll keep his car on the track. He's right. I'll show you the cars when we get there. It's probably going to be pretty late when I get there. It'll be dark, so you might see them tomorrow on race day. Because we get there at like 12 o'clock when scrutineering happens. And then we basically hang around until the race happens. There's going to be a fair few cars there because everyone's been hanging out for them. And if they keep postponing them or putting them off altogether. COVID. They nearly cancelled this one. 2 days away from the race, they nearly cancelled it. Oof, geez, she got some feathers in a night, I can tell you. But that's alright. Anyway, we'll have a bit more of a yarn when we get there, right? Yep. Alright, there we go. Gilgandra Speedway. And this AU has done a rod bearing, that's why it's so fucking noisy. But, there we go. Our scrutineering time is 12:30. We're here a little bit early, which is good. We can get the car off the trailer and we'll get back into town. Just lovely. Alright, late models are about to come off the track. Fender's on now. Ben's in number 14, pole position. We'll see how we go.
In 21, there's 221. There's Richard Howard. The car 21 is currently in first position, going shoulder to shoulder with car 64 with Matthew Imberman. Okay, so Ben Walton's got the drop on him early in proceedings, and we've already lost car 64 Matthew Imberman. I think on the M29 gone in for Matt McLaughlin, who's spun out. George Johnson Ray, Richard Howard there in car 21 in the black and red machine there. Out in front, Ben Walton in car, I'm not too sure, but it's Ben Walton, I know that. In car 14, 64 is Matthew Imbanone, and in car, Robert Schumacher, I think, there's a car 09 with a 99 on the wing, 7 on the side, that's it. Okay, so they're all over the place now, we'll go race through them. We've got off the pace, and And looks like 81's come up and it's just going to go underneath and give a nudge as they go through corners 3 and 4. So Ben Walton stopped off the pace there. Going underneath him in car 81, Michael Byrne. Doing it quite well now. Ben Walton in second. 06, we come back to Nathan Harlan. Nathan Harlan and he's powering up the back straightaway. Car 79, Corey Foyle. 29, still circulating Matt McLaughlin. 07 is driven by Nicky Gale, sits in the panel down there. Not the panel then, the station wagon I should say. That's the stage down there, 29, comes past Nicky Gale then in Corey Foyle. 79, following him round is Matt McLaughlin in car 29. We're in the last lap, the opening been here, heat 1A of the Fender Benders. So Michael Broom takes the white flag in front of Ben Walton. On the shoot there, they're leading 3 I think behind. 79 is Corey Foyle in 3rd. He's down the 3 laps, so 09, Robert Schumack, he's probably in about 5th. Matt McLaughlin in 29, I think he'll be in about 5th or 6th. Oh, what's happened here?
Second.
What happened there? I didn't quite see that, but he spun out.
Alright, we're looking at 102, the silver car, and 15, the orange and black ute. Going left.
Number 11 has been put back somewhat in position. Out in front we still have Wayne Taylor. Taylor into that leader. In front of Kevin Priestman, Jamie Kerr in 3rd position in car 102. Then we come back to the orange ute there. This is driven by Braden Holland. Holland Racing Stable. So Braden Holland is with Brian Harlan, which is in car 5. We've got Jamie Kerr, we've got 16. That was our race leader, Wayne Talby. He's spun out, he's gone in first. So now Kevin Peachman, it is out in front. Jamie Kerr in the third machine, car 102. Braden Holland, I think it would be car 15, coming in the orange jet. Here's car 21, that's Kevin Peachman. In 102 is Jamie Kerr, then Brian Harlan's worked his way into Jamie Kerr, Rustin, and doing a bit of further work, raising a bit of dust, and no, I don't think he knows where he's going, but anyway, that was a bad mistake then from Jamie Kerr. He's racing a fine line there up until then. So we come back now, the race leader should be 21, which is Kevin Peachman. Ryan Harlan would be I think he's made school move. Although you might have a bit of mechanical problems there by the way he's putting around. Anyway, Kevin Peachman takes the right flag.
15's out, something's wrong with it.
In the Fender Benders Heat 1B. 13 going first is Leslie Garner. Started with race 58 going first.
Spun on turn 3, then he pulled it in.
Brian Harlan not feeling too well. In 205 and they've dropped off the pace and pretty much out of the race. Going underneath him in car 16, Wayne Tailby.
Alright, we've got a caved in quarter and a hot engine, one of the fans failed. The other 3 cars are ready to go. This one will miss out on one of the heats, so I can cool down before it heat seizes. We'll see how we go when we get back out there. Alright, got Kerry back together, he's lining up for his second heat. Ben's already out, the ute is cooling down because it overheated and it won't start now. So we'll see how we go. We'll get up on the mount and have a look. What have you done, mate? Bloody hell. I didn't even get up on the mount and you're already out.
That Watts linkage brake works, eh?
Yeah? No, you didn't bust the Watts linkage, that's okay. We'll get a wheel on it. Alright, 15mm tyre. Stopped the tyre on it and then worked out it wasn't getting enough RPM. The track's a little bit too dry, so we've gone down tyre size on both sides on that. Ute's ready to run. Kerry's over there, he's saving it for the feature. He's got no oil pressure, no alternator, not charging. So someone's in an ammo already, so I'm sure they'll be alright. Righto, back in one. Alright, cut the fan out. See what's going on. Alright, we've got 3 of the 4 The one that's running Kerry's in the middle because she's only holding enough charge to run it. And we're waiting on getting let back in the track because of an incident. Car hit a wall and it's taking out half the track light, so they've set up some temporary track lighting around that bottom corner. And they want to run these little junior hatchback Jim Bobs over here, but they have a curfew of like 10:30, so that probably isn't going to happen. That's okay. So yeah, we're just waiting. Poor Kerry's stuck in the 102 mobile next to a radiator that's about 1,000 degrees, but that's alright, we'll get him back out there.
One would be Kevin Peachman with the 2 on the roof, 14 driven by Ben Wall, and they're off track, and they have to go to 1 and 2. Pretty bit strung out. We've got one spun out over there on the back straightaway. Anyway, number 11 leads them round. That's Chris Holland driving very well. The moment out in front doing his fine style. Under no great pressure. Coming past is 102, Jamie Kerr. Out in front though, Chris Holland. Kevin Peachman in the occupying position. Mason Harlan in after him. Here's your race leader coming past us once again. Open up a big gap here early in proceedings. And that's Chris Holland in car number 11. Going in forward is Kevin Peachman there. Whatever reason. Jamie Kerr takes a bit of a shortcut through corner number 4. He's still circulating. Race leader Alby 29. That's McLaughlin. And in 58 he's got the car right up around the corner through the grid positions. Anyway, out in front we go. And leading the way, that looks like it might be Grayson Holland. Driving a pretty handy race early in proceedings. Oh, but he's been collected and there's a bit of bendering going on. Bit of carnage, and that's what we like to see with the benders. Bad luck for Braids, but anyway, that's what bendering's all about. So assuming the roll now, out in front, I'll just have to wait for him to come past again. Fishbone Braden rejoins the fray, but he's been relegated right to the end of the pack, so to speak, after being your race leader initially. Okay, coming past us is Brian Harlan, Wayne Tubby follows him through, then we go back to Robert Schumacher here leading through. So Brian Harlan's opened up a big lead here, local legend, and a very hard worker for the Hill Speedway, but he's working hard now to maintain his lead in this the 2-3B of the Fender Benders. That's up here. Oh, Brian Harlan spun out for no apparent reason, not nothing. Quarter number 1 and 2, that's gone, he's gone. The second position, we've got a spin out here on the corner
looks like
1 and 2.
The Utes overheating. What I've done on the first
heat. Started his way back out, so Wayne Talby now assumes the position number 1. Brian Harlan relegated to second position. 29, Matt McLaughlin, I think that would be. Brian Harlan. Matt McLaughlin might have stolen second spot from Brian Harlan. 05 has come past us. Braden Holland now comes across the finish line in 15, and what would be 4th position for him, I think. Mason Harlan in 6 gets the drop on him and goes straight up the middle there and into the fray. Okay, so big news. Just there more than 50 years. Trying to put our eyes on who's out in front. And at the moment, that's Chris Holland doing it pretty easily at the moment. Anyway, we've got a spin there. Wayne Talby's been hit and just missed there by Richard Howard. Richard Howard now goes on the side as he and now he's gone infield. Couldn't quite get a back there, Richard Howard, but he'll get back in. Talby does a bit of a heat turn out. That's back in now. Richard Howard, as he there goes Wayne Talby. So on in front though, McLaughlin, Harlan, 13 in disregard, Megan leading 4. Let's just keep an eye on this one. Holland in front, McLaughlin, Harlan in 2. Looks down and just under his guard there. So Harlan's been relegated, that's Nathan Harlan, relegated to 4th position there. Still out in the clear, and trying to keep his nose clean is Chris Holland. Come back to McLaughlin. So I'm not too sure what's happened to Chris Holland. That's it there, I think that's just had a bit of untoward that's cost him dearly as in corners 3 and 4. So I'm guessing the new race leader might be car 29. Probably going to have a stoppage here. We've got car parked quite precariously there on corner number 4. Upland comes down low in 39. Oh! Garnham's into the wall and a bit of carnage happening here. So we've got a...
Oh, it's a big hit on Curry.
Garnham hit that ball pretty hard. 13, Garnham's got a flat. Here we go, Nathan Harlan once again. Goes in the claws, 1 and 2 high.
He's going to have a hard time with that front roll wheel. Had a pretty big hit.
Nathan Harlan, now he goes wide, opens the door there from McLaughlin. McLaughlin takes that opportunity, so Harlan back in first spot. 0-9, just running Schumacher in third position. Looks like Wayne Tailby in fourth. Down in front we have McLaughlin, then Schumacher. Should be the full 4, I think. Okay, so Schumacher has taken the lead down. He's out in front. So
yep, there goes Curry.
Robert Schumacher in front.
Front tire.
Nathan Harlan holds down second position. Then Matt McLaughlin, there you're leading 3. Talbot's out. James Kerr has parked himself just inside corner number 4 and looks like he might take no further part.
Alright, it's the next day. Unfortunately, my phone went flat, so I couldn't film the rest of the feature race. What we did get out of the 4 cars, obviously Curry's one done a tyre. Turns out it actually broke the driver's side upper ball joint and it was rubbing on the tyre. It was the only thing holding that wheel on. The other one got a flat tyre, so it went infield. So we had 2 cars out of the 4 finish, and we got this one here, 14 got 4th, and the Ute 15 got 5th out of 19 starters, so that's good. Fairlane's pretty banged up, so the Ute's smoking pretty bad. Towards the end there, it didn't have any oil pressure, so that's going to need a motor. This one's still running strong, but it's a bit hurt. That's what happens. The video makes it look a lot slower than it is, but they're actually whacking those cars pretty hard. So all this was straight. It's caved in the bash bar there and everything. It's actually crumpled this in, concertinaed the chassis rail there on both sides. It's cracked the shock tower braces on both sides, so it's actually pushed the front of the car in and sort of apart. So the shock towers have gone down and then the chassis rails have gone up. But we'll pull the nose out of that and plate it. You're allowed to plate it with 1.6mm steel to fix race damage. So we'll do that, but this car's going to need a reshell. It's rooted. Still runs, which is good. Stoved in the door and everything, but she does the job. I just had that minor overheating issue where I cranked a wee bit too much timing into it on the first race, but that's to be expected. Thinking the harmonic balance is spun because I timed it and it was doughy as. It's supposed to be 10 degrees before top dead centre, 32 degrees total ramp at wide open throttle. Couldn't get the timing right, so I just eyeballed it. Went out in the first heat to come in, radiator temp was at like 150 degrees, so I just scooched a wee bit less timing into it, and it was fine for the rest of the night. Coming after the feature, which is you're pushing pretty hard there, 20 laps, and it was at about 110, but it cooled off straight away. So the minute he wasn't pushing hard, it cooled off, so that's okay. We'll leave it like that, but she's got a bit of work to do. We're going to head over to Curry's a bit later and we'll get a bit of a video on the damage on that. He copped a massive hit. We thought it actually damaged the cage because he got hit pretty much right there, which took out the wheel, and it's actually stoved that whole corner in right in front of the A-pillar bar. But it hasn't damaged the cage or anything. Curry was safe, he was just a bit rattled. Throw a ball joint in that and it'll be good to go. Yeah. It's racing, I suppose. I've had no sleep, but that's the way it goes. We got back here probably nearly 1 o'clock after the race, and the night before, because we were wiring this thing because it decided to eat a engine bay harness and ECU. We didn't get to bed till 4:30 the morning of the race day, so we're running on no sleep. That's okay, at least it still works. Everything I've done hurriedly, super early in the morning to get that thing prepped and ready to race still works, so we're good. Right, we'll start having a bit more of a look around this a bit later. Alright, whole team's here. Ute's back home. Curry's rig's over there. We'll go and have a yarn about that in a minute. But the only problem we had with the ute is it was blowing belts off. That's alright, we sorted that. Had hard steering and it was going through power steering fluid. Now, I don't know if you can see that down there, but that return line out of that steering box is kinked off. So that'll be hard steering. It can't get back to the pump. And then oil can't get back to the pump and balls the oil. So that's alright. And the other issue we had was continuously overheating this little radiator. It's just not good enough. The previous owner didn't drive it as hard as the bloke that was driving it last night. But put another rad in it, better fan set because that fan doesn't do fuck all. And it's got issues with massive airlocks with this pipe work in the back, so we'll have to rejig that with the new rad. But that's okay, it still runs, so it's good for the next race. We'll come out here and we'll have a look at Kerry's rig. So last night I thought it done a ball joint, but we're having a bit of a look at it. It's got to come off the trailer still. Hasn't done a ball joint. It might have done a lower ball joint, but that's a bit hard to tell too. It might have just bent the whole knuckle. So he got hit pretty much right in the wheel. Luckily it hasn't damaged the cage. It did rattle him pretty fucking hard though. Yeah, all the cage is still straight. He'll pull that out and he'll have it ready to race, but that's why that tyre went. The ball joint was just, there we go, just chewing on her. So, yeah, it's a bit hard. The ball joint's still connected to the knuckle. Maybe it bent the ear on the knuckle, possibly. We'll see. We'll get it off the trailer and get the wheel off it. But it's still alright, it runs, it needs an alternator. And then another thermo fan set, because that fan, one of those fans died. And without the alternator, they just couldn't pull enough heat out of the rad because they weren't running at full efficiency. He'll have that sorted and back on the track. He's alright. He was doing pretty good for a while there. That's okay. We'll get this off the trailer, get the wheel off it. We'll have a look at that knuckle, work out what's going on with it. But it's good. All 4 cars that we entered as the team all finished and they all still run. Oh, they didn't finish. That didn't finish. And number 11 didn't finish. 11 had the slash tyre. Curry obviously had that big hit in that side, but they all still work. Minor repairs and they'll be back on the track. That's fine. That's the first for the Fairlane to actually finish and still be running. Normally it finishes and then it dies getting on the trailer. So the motor we put in there is actually not too bad. And then the Crossflow, it's still running. It's got a bit of iffy oddball oil pressure, but it turns out they didn't do an oil change on it before they put the motor in it, and it looks like black water. So put it on. Probably 20W60 in that and a new filter. It should be good to go. Righto. We'll get that silver 102 off the trailer and we'll have a look when we get the wheel off. Alright, just pulled Kerry's car apart. And you see, bent the ears on the bottom of the shock. It's supposed to look like that. Cracked the steering rack in half, which is good, and then bent the shit out of that tie rod. So we'll put all that back in. Yeah. But still got heaps of camber on that driver's side front, so something else is bent. Righto, so we got Kerry's car put back together, but it's still got a bent upright on the knuckle. We thought it was just the shock being bent, but unlucky. Righto, so that is race weekend, Gilgandra Speedway. National title, got 4th and 5th, and Ben's brother got 1st, which is pretty rad, in a new car, only just put together. Pretty rad. So, a little bit of work still to do on Curry's car. We'll sort that out, just throw another knuckle on it. Other cars are all done and running still. Fairlane's got to get the nose pulled out of it, but that's to be expected. So yeah, you guys have fun. Catch you on the next one. Remember to keep the rubber side down. 10-4.